Hello, everyone. I'm Christina, and since I'm often ill, it's been a minute since I've gotten on here, but I had to go live. I'm hoping that the streaming is good, that everybody is notified. And while you're coming in, if you can, if you want to, like, comment, share the videos or the live stream, and subscribe. It's always awesome. It's always good to see you. It's always great to have a new family. And yesterday, the country, the United States specifically, has been in a huge vat of emotions. Like on both sides, they are fierce. And there's one side that just doesn't seem to understand how this happened. And the other side, they think it should be clear. But we're going to go over these things. We're going to talk about it because there's just no way to get through this other than to look at what's really going on here. And the Bible teaches us, let those who have eyes see, let those who have ears hear. I'm paraphrasing a tad bit, but I think y'all know where I'm going with this. Hello, Patricia and Nancy, planting seeds in Argo. God bless you all. It's so good to see you all again. So, do you want to get into this a little bit? All right. Some of this may be hard to hear for some people. Try not to get triggered. Okay, we will start with the election results. Oh my gosh, what was it? I can't believe I didn't write this down. But the election results just way went in Trump's favor. It was a total landslide in a lot of cases. And because there is a lack of proper communication going across the board with United States citizens, there is like, you can see half the country, about ish, it is different from the other. There is a great divide going on, which is totally prophetic, right? That the world would be divided in half, okay, eventually for the Antichrist. Ah, good job, Patricia. I'm glad that you voted. That is awesome. All right. I did take a channel poll to see who would win. 82% said Trump would win, 18% said Kamala up until late in the night. I went to vote, and so did my daughter, a friend of mine, his nephew, and two of them were new voters. Two of us were people that hadn't voted in a while. It was age groups that was 19 to 21 and the 40s and up group for the other group. So male, female, also balance. And we all went in there and we let our vote count. We jumped in that hoopty. It's like a 1990s suburban. Fumes made me want to vomit most of the, when I was mostly home. But boy, redneck way or not, we got up there and we made our voices heard. It was a great experience. So great. It is a cross behind me with a lamb on it. Jesus is carrying it. Maybe I can position things differently next time. But thank you for telling me that. Orca looks like an X behind me. That's so funny. All right. Now, this is something you just don't see every day, is somebody winning all of the battleground states. And because that happened, even if the half of the country doesn't understand, that right there speaks volumes. That somebody has something to say, and maybe you don't understand, but maybe you should try. Maybe you should look into it. And partly the battle began before the election. And I think a lot of people would agree, because Kamala, whether she knew it or not, was going through a job interview as vice president of the United States. That if she wanted to ascend to president, that she needed to be able to win over the American people, which she did not do, obviously, right? It began in Afghanistan at the very beginning. It was something that put a black mark on their record right off the bat, among other things. But towards the election happening, what really hurt them, I believe, especially in a swing state, was North Carolina. They might have been able to get that, but they did North Carolina so wrong after that hurricane that I think it swung a lot of would have been voters their way. It showed in to the onlookers that the Biden Harris campaign didn't really care about the everyday American. That is what it communicated, like it or not. Failure to communicate in a lot of critical areas, particularly in politics. In politics, Kamala's side generalizes their campaign on two things: sex and skin color. Trump, his was more about the economy, border, and an end to war, which spoke to more people. When you think about campaigning mostly or solely on skin color and sex, those are superficial things. They are for a person, for an individual. But when you want to win over a group of people, you've got to speak to the many. And right now, Bidenomics and Bidenflation, as it's been called for a while now, is making it hard for people to put gas in their tanks, to get jobs, to put food on their tables. Okay, that's the reality. And it's so important that it overshadows in the most of Americans' minds your self needs, like that are superficial, like calling everyone names like racist and putting all the focus on skin color. Those are more superficial, and they are not the reigning problems in America that Americans are focused on. So that's where Trump won out in politics. In terms of clarity for their campaign, Kamala didn't seem to have a clear enough campaign to most Americans. Trump, he made it pretty clear. He made it very, very clear. And Biden's confusion also kind of made it look like, I don't know, I think it overshadowed Kamala's campaign a lot because it all seems to be based in some kind of confusion. Hello, Neo. Hello, Esther. I voted for the life-ending asteroid. And you all are just so funny. Okay, now what pushed Trump ahead? Okay, first of all, the failures of the Biden Harris, I don't even know what to call it. I know there's a word for it. Their whole term, Biden Harris term, there were a lot of failures, and especially with the American people. The recent attitude during North Carolina disaster while providing assistance to foreign lands, they lost North Carolina and anybody looking in that direction at the time that thought it was disgusting. Government overreach with Peanut and Fred. Believe it or not, God can send the simple to confound the wise. And government overreach with those two animals and that family and that rescue farm angered a lot of would-be voters who are tired of the government in their business all the time. You know, Kamala denied Jesus in a rally. Not everyone is a Christian, so it wouldn't necessarily affect anyone. Everyone, I mean. But if you are a Christian, yeah, you lost another group of voters. If you're only focused on one group of voters, you are naturally going to be pushing away the majority of your voters. All right. The assassination attempts on Trump made him look like a boss. It amped up his energy and his volume. I'm sorry. If the Democrats were behind that, and this is if all they did was help Trump's campaign. All right. What the Democrats call a convicted felon, the Republicans call persistent name calling and perceived criminal persecution for political gain on a political opponent. They see that as, just dirty, is really. Nobody wants to really go with that. When they feel that the Democrats' whole campaign is crooked, all right? But the persistent name calling and labeling in favor of listening to opponents' concerns and the lack of maturity with the crying, the falling on the ground, that doesn't lay down any work for anybody to exchange, listen, receive. It's just, you can tell that's closed ears, closed mouth, closed heart. There is no getting through. So there's that. But Trump's ability to communicate well with leaders of other nations leaders in ways that Kamala wouldn't and hasn't been able to in the last 4 years. Also, Kamala's history of sidestepping issues hurt her a lot. Americans strongly felt the Biden-Harris regime cared more about replacing Americans and pandering to foreign entities than the voters and taxpayers in their own country. Reactions were completely on totally opposite ends of the scale. Kamala's side, very upset, name-calling, threats, ending long-term various relationships, hate, and extreme fear coming from them. The other side, relief and the readiness for work. Okay. It is amazing that it was the second rejected woman president candidate who lost to the same guy, who both decided to put off their speeches afterwards because they were so emotional. It was really kind of a copy almost from the 2016 elections. Now, these are just actual views, okay? Actual views of the people that would affect an actual human election. But then there are also spiritual views. Now, if you don't believe in God, if you're agnostic or whatever, then this obviously would not affect you in any way whatsoever. But if you do have spiritual views, if you believe in Christ and the Bible and the fact that we're in end times, you're going to be doing a lot of comparing. All right. Spiritual views are varying, like Trump being the Antichrist. Some people believe that, some people don't. I personally believe the Antichrist is what has been traditionally taught as Middle Eastern. But again, we'll know when we know, right? Revivals are breaking out. They have been for a few months now in various places. And you think it started, in a college about a year or so ago. It started there, and then you've got kids in India praying, people all over starting to pray for revival, and little spots of it are starting. That's a spiritual thing. That is foreshadowing of a global revival that the Bible has taught us is going to happen. You don't always have to know how, but the amazing thing about it is the prophecies about the separation of the wheat and the tares, the prophecies that the world will be divided in half in believers and non-believers only at some point. Okay. And you have to get to that point in order to have the war that the Bible talks about in prophecy. You have to. Everybody has to be clear cut on one side or the other. This is one war that you can't just play one side. You will be all the way, and you can't deny all the way, because the beast is going to demand worship, and God, being God, demands it too. It's going to be up to you to make the choice, right? But this is where discernment comes in, right? Because again, the spiritual problems, it isn't just with the believers and the non-believers. Currently, The spiritual problems are inside the church, which will make us less effective if the body is divided. All right. Now, there are a lot of prophecies out there that are still open to interpretation and self-fulfillment. And as Christians, we got to mind our tongues. We got to mind our hearts. We got to mind ourselves, because all them idle words, all those things that you say out loud to people. It's one thing if you're like me in your room cussing at your computer where nobody can hear you. And I mean cussing metaphorically, but getting out your anger, and then when you're out in public, you got yourself together, versus spewing all your emotions all over people that probably didn't do anything to you. But most importantly, God is watching, and he needs a mature body. So when it comes to how Christians are communicating with each other, the fighting always ensues when there is a difference in interpretation in prophecy. And I think that's got to stop. If it's still open for interpretation, we should stick with this is what I think for now, and not let ourselves be taken in by the devil to be yelling, cussing. And again, cussing, I mean that, name calling of any kind, or, just that bad thing going on. It's easy. It's okay to get mad, but it's what you do when you get mad. And remember, I went to hell, and that's what God told me. One of the things he said, it's how you treat people when you get mad. It's how you use that tongue as a weapon. And when it comes to your brethren, okay, you may not always understand each other, but you are supposed to be brethren, children of the Most High. And we are expected to act like that at all times. All right. Hello, Daryl. Hello, James. Randall. Okay, my pastor said when the Antichrist starts doing his thing, he will not be interested in women, and he will not have time for women. That's right. The Bible had said that, what was the words I remember? So it was something along those lines where it wouldn't be natural, his interest for women or something like that. In fact, when I was reading Daniel, and this is what I gathered, I could be like complete moron, but it looked like he was going to be married in a contractual marriage to a princess of Egypt, but they wouldn't have like a loving romantic relationship. It'd be more of a, traditional marriage between royalty for houses, I suppose. But that in the end, he better watch out, like he's going to wrong her or something, eventually when it comes to people that have darkness in their hearts, they may be able to be combined for a while, but eventually they begin to eat each other. They begin to devour each other from the inside. So don't think that even if they were able to wipe out every Christ believer on the planet, that they'd be okay and suddenly happy. No, because nothing fills that void but God and Jesus Christ. There's not whatever money, fame, whatever it is, that love you wanted, you can't get it here. You can only try to give it from the inside. And this being the end days, we better be thinking about where what we're saying and doing is coming from. And I'll tell you what, I know there were two things you don't talk about with somebody else because you knew it could cause a fight: politics and religion. And we're talking about both. And I'm not trying to tell you nothing about your own business. I'm telling you what's up. That's it. This is how this side feels. This is how this side feels. And maybe we need to think about how God feels. All right. Yes, there's prophecy and there's a lot of it. Now, in the future, we are looking for a temple. And I know that there are people that say We're the temple. When you look in a dictionary, there's more than one definition to a word. In the Bible, the context clues is saying this is about a building. These particular prophecies, they don't have all that stuff ready in Israel for nothing. And it's the Jews who build that temple, nobody else. With the help, sure, financing of others, sure. But the Jews do it because nobody else would be better set to know all the ins and outs of a Jewish temple than them. Okay. So that is something we're looking for. And it's also something that the Antichrist is going to walk in and desecrate, what they call the abomination of desolations. That's Matthew 24. That's where the prophecy is. Hey, sweetie. Yes, I know it looks like I'm talking to nobody. My cat's saying hi. He's next to me. He's probably wondering what I'm doing. Okay. Hi, Clarissa. It's so good to see you. Praise God. I'm always so happy to see you, Clarissa. Everybody. All right. Look, we're also looking at the two-state solution. Now, there's never been anybody more involved with Israel than Trump. And how all this plays out, I don't know. I really don't. But I know that a two-state solution is in prophecy. It happens somehow. And we all feel in our spirit that's coming super close relatively. I don't know, it could be a year, it could be, I don't know what it is. I'm just saying, but you can tell it's not no 10 years away. Neo says, just look at religion that comes from the Bible. There's probably 1,000 different interpretations and religions from Christianity alone. It's confusing and it's divisive. Yes, that's exactly the problem, which is why if you're under the banner of Christ, okay, we need to watch our mouths. Okay, we need to admit when we have a theory versus a fact and an interpretation. And no matter what, we got to stop that arguing. You cannot let yourself give into the temptation of looking at somebody who actually cares about you and crushing that. You know? Okay. So yeah, now also with that, Neo and Patricia, is really cool about the times that we've entered into, because as we keep going forward, as the prophecies keep getting fulfilled, where nobody can put their interpretations in anymore, because now it's become manifest. I think that more and more we will get on the same page. And from what I understood in prophecy all this time that we've been taught is that there at some point before this war starts, we will go from having all those religions to straight up, do you believe in Jesus or not? Believers and non-believers only. So this is a little bit of the, whether it happens quick, whether it happens over a few years, I don't know. I don't have that, but I do know that we do get to that point because we have to have that wheat separation from the tares. We have to. And something's going to have to happen to get everybody on that same page. But yes, it will be, you're under the banner of Jesus or you are not. It's not going to be about non-believers like Hindu or whatever. It's just non-believers. It's not going to be believers, Pentecostal, Baptist, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be believers or non-believers. That's it. I think that'll make things a lot easier. Hello, Watchman. Good to see you. I think we're sitting in Jeremiah 51:9. He did. Okay. Let's see what was happening here. Okay. Strange. Hello, Adrian. I think that comment was okay. Yeah, those comments were okay, Adrian. They're not disparaging anybody. I'm sorry that happened to you. I used to see you a lot on Pop Egley's channel. I confess I didn't vote because I didn't like what the candidates and their plans for this country, which that can happen too. You might disagree with both candidates. Watchman, I've got to get checked out. Blood in my, ooh, that's bad, Dan. It's good to see you, brother. It is real good to see you. A lot of people I haven't seen, but that's really, how illness is, and things like a presidential election, like Paul Begley and Paul and Adrian, they have this never ending energy that I don't have. I can't summon energy hardly every day just to get out of bed. That's the truth. It is. And I thank God that you are here, Adrian. God bless you, sister. And Lorena, I'm so glad that I didn't miss you, girl. From Chicago. Planting seeds. Okay, if you have an experience of understanding the meaning behind the words, it's a lot easier to understand. Yes, yes, yes. Rebecca, God bless you. I didn't want to miss you. There. Just want to make sure everybody's been said hello to. So going on in the future, this is the reality. Like it or not, Trump, Kamala supporter, it does not matter. As Christians, we have to understand where we are. We are in the pages of the Bible. So we have to be extra reflective, all of us, about everything we do, our thoughts, the way we treat each other. And even if it's not a view that we hold, that we learn to communicate or learn to leave like ladies and gentlemen about it, because what that is a temptation of Satan to draw you into arguments and fighting and fussing, which is not what God wants for his church, for his remnant. We got to be careful of the little wiles of the devil, because he likes to use our emotions against us. All right, see what else is going on here. All right. Let me see. There we go. All right, vote for Jesus. That's right. And the way I see it, I saw this hat on Paul Begley's channel. It said, "Make America godly again." And I think that that would be the perfect way to start. But if we can't stop fighting amongst ourselves, we're going to lose a lot more than elections, friends, and family. You understand what I'm saying? All right. We need the mind of Christ. We need to understand where we are heading. And there is nothing, not a presidential election, nothing, not the Antichrist coming out, nothing more important than our relationship with Christ. So we better start thinking about how important our relationships are without each other. What did God say in the Bible? He said that parents and children will betray each other to death. Because you think about that. And he was saying it in a way that he does not approve, but that is a sign of the times. That is not what God wants, but that's where it's heading. That's actually in a lot of ways already where it's at, but it's going to get worse. God doesn't want all that. He does not. We've got to be united. We got to be strong, and we got to have love. And whatever it is we may not understand, we need to be open up to dialogue. And screaming, crying, and name calling simply isn't ever in any situation going to accomplish that. So with that in mind, with the next election, if there is even another election in the future, because we are in the end times, we are facing things like an Ezekiel 38 war, which a lot of people think will take place first on American soil, kicked off by the two-state solution and natural disasters that leave us wide open. All right. Those are the things that we are immediately looking for in the future. All right. So we don't know if this might have been the last presidential American election ever again. That's another reason why it was so historic. All right. God knows what's in your heart. He knows why you voted, who you voted for, why you didn't vote. He knows all that. Okay. He knows the real reasons why. And I think that that's the most important thing, is what's written in your book of life. before you go pointing fingers at anybody else, because it's easy to do. It is super easy to do. Yeah, both candidates, they're not rosy. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't become a saved person because I had lived a perfect life. I messed up big time, and it was more with my temper. Yes, I committed real sins. And for anybody to sit there and go, oh, you did this and you did that, so you're not a Christian, God doesn't love you. See, that's easy to do, but that's what Satan does. He's an accuser. He looks to root out, and he ignores everything else to smear you. All right. And we can rise above that. We need to, because if you can't get past a presidential election, you got bigger problems than who's in office right now. Because it doesn't matter who's in office, it matters who's king in your heart. You understand? Doesn't matter what's going on in this world, because God is our center. He's the eye of the storm, and he's walking us through. And that, if you have that knowledge, if you really believe that, no matter what's going on around you at any point, then you should have that peace. Okay? And that should settle you enough to be able to speak civilly to another person. It doesn't matter what it's for. If you can't speak civilly, wait until you can. All right? Because it's not just something that people are seeing. The fact that God, when he sees that you are communicating, he's marking down how you're communicating with people. All right. And you're supposed to love your enemy. Now, doesn't mean agree with everything, but it definitely doesn't mean hate them from the bottom of your soul. Okay. We're not always going to agree. You can't please all the people all the time. Remember that? You can't. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks, yet many are struggling. It's scary. And it's so funny. People will say things out their mouth and they'll go, well, God knows what's in my heart. And I'll be like, well, yeah, you just spoke what was out of your heart. You, in as many situations, they'll go, oh, God knows. Like suddenly that just wipes away. No, admit it. You said it. It's in your heart. You were just hoping that someone would agree with you. And it doesn't matter how many agree with you. Does God agree with you? If all your friends are jumping off a cliff, does that mean you got to jump off that cliff too? No, you got your own mind. I feel a load has been lifted. We seem to have a stay for a time. Remember the leaders, Jesus said they will lord over you, so follow him, not them. Mm-hmm. Yep. We don't have any power of our own, not even to breathe. We don't have any power to have hair on our head unless he wills it. We don't need to be putting things. Okay. God wills who's in office. When Israel messed up, he willed that Nebuchadnezzar came in and destroyed everything. Women, children, buildings, everything. All right. God does that. And his ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. So I'll tell you right now, we don't understand each other, but half the time we don't understand anything he's doing. But if there's anything we can do, it's trust God. We may not understand, but we can trust God. Okay? You think about those things. That's all that matters ever. So love each other as hard as you can. Hold on. Don't let Satan throw you off your game. I know that a lot of you have so much passion, but don't fall for that trick. Okay? Keep your eyes on Jesus. All right? Now, this would have been way too much to do a video for. It really would have. And I don't think that it would have really pushed across all of the points that I really wanted to make. in a genuine way that I wanted to make them. But I do love y'all. And we need to make sure that we love each other correctly, not just when we're doing something that each other likes. When it's a family, let me tell you something, my kids get on my nerves sometimes in ways I can't describe. Okay. But at the end of the day, I love them. They get on my nerves. Well, guess what? They've earned the right. And you can't be in a relationship with people without running and butting heads sometimes. But that's when you have to realize the depths of love. If you love somebody, like this one girl I heard, 14 years she's been friends with this other chick. 14 years. And she let this end their friendship. That told me one thing. The person that was able to end that friendship was never a friend to her in the first place. She's not a friend to anyone. If you can just disagree like that, not hear anybody, be all about yourself, shut everybody else out, and be like, unsubscribe, don't call me, don't call my family. That right there, that's evil behavior. It's emotionally charged. It may come from a place where you feel you're right, but it's hate. And hate separates you from God. Don't speak from a point of hate. Don't do anything, not a single step, until you've put that filter with you and God. All right? And if we can start down that road, then we will be stronger as a Christian body, not Republican or Democrat. We will be stronger where it counts the most. I hope that helped. Now, with Kamala, how this helped lose the election, there were all these points. But Christian or not, people can see through scheming, shady practices, weak whatever, and denial of Christ. Okay. That was people saw that. It was not attractive. Okay. So, I've heard arguments on both sides, but this video is about how Kamala lost. Okay. Trump didn't lose. Kamala did. So we would have to talk about those things. And Kamala denying Christ, those, you can label our country non-Christian if you want to. There's still a crap load of Christians right here. Okay, so you can't just you're isolating your voter base. All right, as Christians, we don't want to isolate each other. All right, if Kamala had won, I was going to quit and work with my local community because I feel destruction would have been coming quickly. We just got home busy. Yes, everything. Yeah, I feel you. I'm with the energy I have, I'm busy too. I can't find none of my hair clips, but I found the scarf, didn't know how to mess with it. But now, I don't know, when it came to putting my hair up, y'all might be seeing this on my head for a while. The fight is not over till January 20th. Honestly, biblically, fight's not over until Jesus comes. There will be no peace, not just for Israel, but in the world. Okay? They're not really. Because even when there's a global revival, you got to remember, half the people won't go in that direction. So it'll be a revival that's all over the world, but only for half of the population. We're still going to have the other half that is susceptible to darkness for the war that we're heading to. So even then, we're going to have to watch, right? Those Fifth Seal martyrs aren't there for nothing. Oh, well, thank you, Joy, and God bless you. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you very, very much. I wore it on election day, and it even still has a sticker on it somewhere. It says, I voted. I went in 80 Suburban, paint missing, fumes coming out. I mean, woo, but we did it. We did it. And that felt really good. It was a good moment for my daughter and I as bonding. She first time she was old enough to vote. And we did that together. So, like, forever. You know, she can tell her kids and her grandkids, yeah, Meemaw and I voted in the last American election ever together. And it was historical. You know, I'm saying it could be the last one. Think about that. It's the end times. They've already started kicking off. It's not just prophecies like the Psalm 83 war. It's like literally signs in the heavens and in the earth. Okay. All right. My computer battery just got low. And I love you guys. I hope that you share these videos. Hit like, subscribe, you know. Please help my channel out. I'll always appreciate you because I never know exactly when I can get on because I don't know when I'm going to feel good, but I know that your prayers do get me through a lot, and it totally uplifts my heart. And I just love you guys. God bless you. Keep an eye out for my videos. Keep an eye out. It doesn't matter if it's been a week or two. You will hear from me again. All right. Well, as long as I'm alive. Love you. Bye.